Welcome everybody. We are Ángel Eduardo Vargas Mundo and me, Diego Ramos Flores. And we are pleased to present you our integrated project presentation, a study on automotive design and the influence and challenges posed on it by virtual collaborative workspaces. The automotive industry of today and the world itself is currently changing and facing new challenges and barriers never seen before. The new obstacles placed by a combination of new fast-paced technological inventions and a sanitary contingency due to SARS-CoV-2, or better known as COVID-19, has pushed the automotive industry, as well as the rest of the world, to offer new methods of work that can fit in the new normal scheme to keep engineering working even under these new circumstances by the use of virtual workspaces. But first, let me ask you, what's a virtual workspace? Have you ever been required to handle a team in one of these workspaces? Or even, have you ever needed to? Well, the quick answer is yes. It is likely that you all have an idea of what it is, and you most certainly have used them at least once since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. But when you think of these workspaces, what comes to your mind? Have you faced yet the new digital barriers existent? What have been the main challenges you have faced? And most importantly, how have these barriers posed a challenge to you in your methods of work, whether for the school management or your personal job? All these doubts bring us to the next question, and the most important one at hand. Are your work processes as effective as they were before? And if the answer is no, then have you ever wondered why? While you give it a thought, we present you our abstract. This study is focused on analyzing the importance and impact of collaborative virtual workspaces in the automotive design processes, in the industry, and college-level education. During the year 2020, it is meant to support the improvement of the design skills and mindset of the automotive systems engineering students at the Instituto Politecnico Nacional. The new normal scheme has called for safety measures, being social distancing the main one, posing new challenges as mentioned previously. And with this study, we aim to improve the ways these challenges are being faced. Our main goal is to optimize the automotive design by the integration and improvement of virtual workspaces and its tools to the engineer's formation and preparation for the employment field. As part of our particular objectives, we have three main topics. The first one being the identification of the main challenges and obstacles to solve and be faced when working via virtual collaborative workspaces that may reduce the effectiveness and pose a threat in the design and project management processes. The second one aims to improve the existing communication methods as well as the use of virtual collaborative workspaces by giving out key recommendations to solve critical problems that are existing nowadays based on the previous objective and the found opportunity areas by it. And last but not least, as a consequence of the previous mention, we aim to achieve maximum efficiency when using virtual collaborative workspaces to improve the quality of designs and final products created and developed by design engineers by providing the correct use of tools available to them, and to be strictly used from now on in the new normal scheme in both early stages of formation and within a working employment environment.
Hi, my name is Ángel Vargas, and then I will be presenting the next three chapters of the project. This first chapter aims to address the concepts involved in the development of this project and how the pandemic caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus impact into design in the automotive industry. To understand this project, we must bear in mind that a workspace is a platform that has a variety of digital tools that solve as many activities as the user needs. We have four concepts involved. The concurrent engineering that makes mention of the process that aligns the needs for the development of a new product, involving all departments working in unison in the creation of a product. The second, the Industry 4.0, that is the revolution in which digital, physical, and biological technologies converge. For example, the cyber-physical system of workspaces and the computing services through a network or the cloud. The third concept is the product creation process, that consists in the process of ideation of an original product and carrying it out to the market, encompassing in the industry 6 stages: the ideation, the research, the planning, the prototype, the sourcing, and the costing. And the last one, that is the Education 4.0, the revolution of the educational models aimed at the development of a series of skills and abilities in the student through the communication as the vehicle for learning and the use of the information and communication technologies. Next, we will base ourselves in a timeline of the effect of the SARS-CoV-2 virus in the industrial and academic field of the automotive sector. Let's start with the beginning of the virus. First, it is identified as pneumonia cases in Wuhan, China in December 2019. In early 2020, the World Health Organization declares that it is a new type of coronavirus. By March 11, the alarming levels of spread and contagion declares that it is a pandemic. The contagion went around the world, with a focus on Asia and Europe, and soon in the USA. By March 17, half of the world was already in quarantine, and they were joined by Mexico, with its stoppage of non-essential activities before March 23. In the month of April, in Mexico, there is an average cut of 823 people a day, being a loss of approximately 24,000 jobs. This only in the automotive industry. And on the other hand, the employees who continue were sudden shift to remote digital world due to the contingency and the new sanitary prevention activities, for example, the social distancing. Previously established the sanitary measures for May 29, protocols are established to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 disease, the workers and employees of the industry inside their facilities. With this, the general reactivation of the automotive industry in hybrid format is achieved at the beginning of June. This means home office format mixed with the face-to-face work if necessary. By early July, the automotive sector operates between 10 to 25% of its capacity. And by the end of July, a new profile for hiring employees is established, since the budget counts and requirements of the industry change due to the pandemic, requiring new skills and abilities that we will see next. For this second chapter, we will be reviewing automotive design in industry and education, support by the collaborative virtual workspaces, or commonly known as Workspace. Also, we are going to have the influence in automotive industry and education and the benchmarking within the automotive field. With the arrival of the virus and health measures, industry and education have faced different obstacles during this pandemic, such as the sudden change to the virtual work format and the use of new technologies. It was verified through a survey aimed at professionals and students in the automotive field that about half of the respondents have knowledge and achieved their activities, tasks, or goals with the use of information and communication technologies. However, their mastery and knowledge of them must be optimized as a work skill that allows them to fully support a project and a work team. On the right side, we can see the percentage of participation for each area, with the survey being answered by more than 200 people, where 80% was direct at the students and the remaining 20% at industry professionals. In the automotive field, large multinational companies such as Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, BMW Group, and General Motors answer as automotive assemblers, and in auto parts and suppliers, companies such as Omnium Plastic or Teneco. While in the academic sphere, all to our focus was on the Instituto Politecnico Nacional, universities such as the UAB or ITANS also participate to a large extent. In the design, we can integrate the workspaces to optimize the activities. However, let me explain that between information and communication technologies, the workspaces are the tools that combine a variety of services with different functionalities, aimed at solving different tasks, for example, the project management, the data analysis, the presentations, the process automation, among others. The more relevant characteristics are its storage in the cloud or internet and its ability to be hosted locally on personal devices as desktop applications, such as laptops, cell phones, tablets, being commonly known as multi-platform support. In addition to the above, we find that workspaces share similarity in operation and tools, so data can be migrated and work in different spaces. Another feature is that it has a real-time access for remote collaboration. And finally, we have the friendly interface between the user and the workspace, as well as the constant updating of functions and services for the user comfort. Let's focus on the characteristics of the automotive design process in which we are involved, essentially divided into 6 phases but being different depending on the company. The first phase and the longest one is called portfolio phase that creates the dialogue between the designers and stakeholders, such as the areas of marketing, sales, production, engineering, among others, to create a matrix of parameters that provides the characteristics and technologies to form the strategy of product design. The second phase, called sketches, consists of the dialogue between the sales team and designers to analyze market study data and customer expectations, achieving a direction to create an achievable and higher quality concept. The third phase, digital design, consists essentially of computer-aided modeling that generates a photorealistic concept on a real scale capable of being simulated in operation. The fourth phase, called craft design, develops a clay model made by artisans that is later compared with the virtual model of the vehicle, creating the dialogue between the designers and artisans and engineers, with a physical reference in between to identify the necessary changes to be performed. The next phase is called interior and dimensions, that consists of interior design, the selection of materials, colors, lighting, and the incorporation of interior technologies and components. In the same way, are checked the proportions and dimension of the vehicle to proceed to simulate the previous phases after the portfolio. Finally, we reach the prototype phase where the viability in terms of production, safety, quality, and customer service is determined. Also here, the final exterior and interior designs are brought together. So what services or applications do you put together in a workspace? The advantage of the same is that they are in constant development, so they cannot be limited in number and functions, but we can classify them according to the benefit it can give to the automotive design, dividing it into 5. The remote collaboration tools are services direct, as their name says, to remote work through video conferences, virtual chats, and data or file sharing, capable of being updated in real time. The tools for project management are aimed at the management of human and material resources, the planning and distribution of tasks to meet milestones and deadlines. The tools for database management are oriented to the analysis of data and the creation of dynamic and interactive visualizations capable of carrying out calculations with the business intelligence. The tools for the presentation of information in order to create documents or presentation in a visual, orderly, and attractive way for the client or the stakeholders. And finally, the tools for process automation, which seek to perform recurring tasks automatically by managing applications or services, usually being configured through programming or algorithms. About each definition, we can notice less used characteristics example, Teams for video calls, on-file storage, the project for project organization, Power BI as dashboard developer, Stream Video as a streaming platform, and finally, Power Automate, which automates other Office 365 services using algorithms. With this, we can classify workspaces for corporate organizations and for the education. The first, commonly known as the Office Suite, is distinguished by having more varied and specific services capable of interconnecting to carry out a project, or in this case a concept design. They tend to come at a cost, since they integrate more advanced security, storage, and task automation functionalities. They are hosted on the corporate network, so that only a single login is necessary to connect to the workspace, and its tools or services in the online and offline version. This last function is usually shared with the learning management system or used on academic workspaces. However, it is usually common to have to verify the account to maintain the security of the file, the account, and the network. Another feature is that they are open source or free of cost. They also intend to simulate virtual work classrooms, incorporating digital environments that facilitate interaction between student and teacher, allowing file sharing, rating tasks, and answering questions in blogs, forums, or virtual chats. For this chapter 3, we will focus on the new requirements for the automotive systems engineer specialized in design for the automotive industry during the contingency of the SARS-CoV-2 virus. And how does the automotive designer is looked by the automotive industry? Well, with the arrival of the pandemic, the requirements of the industry changed drastically. From needing trained or specialized employees, they look for prospects capable of staying afloat or excel during this contingency. Being nowadays the application of the hard skills characterized by theoretical and technical knowledge acquired through study, typical of an academic training, courses or practices, and just a 25% of the professional success. But according to the study, the 75% of professional success depends on soft skills, skills characterized by being subjective attitudes and competencies that measures how people relate with others, skills acquired empirically, dominated and inherent in the person, that cannot be imitated by technology. Therefore, it is necessary to establish the requirements of the automotive systems engineer specialized in design that must be met. Seen from a SWOT, the strengths are the attitudes, skills, or knowledge that give them benefits and that distinguish or advantage from the competition. On the other hand, the weaknesses include everything that must be improved and negative practices that must be avoided to achieve your goals. In this way, threats are situations that must have attention since they prevent or endanger the achievement of the objectives. They are listed from the outside and must be considered countermeasures to mitigate them, being its opposite the opportunities that are equally external, as changes or trends that can be taken advantage of them. For the specialty in automotive design, we find that among its strengths, the knowledge of vehicle components and systems, as well as its analytical skills, creative thinking, and innovation make it stand out from the competition. Coupled with above, they have mastery of design and engineering software computer assisted. It is project management and the sociability skills or assertive communication. About their weaknesses are the lack of knowledge in the use of digital tools or workspaces, the lack of knowledge in the management of work teams under pressure and demand, and finally its dependence on the needs of both internal and external customers. It is listed as a weakness because it is a practice that can be optimized or avoided. Then, among the opportunities, we find the areas of employment where it can be incorporated, such as areas of design or modification of existing products, the product planning department, the design of manufacturing processes, the area of research of new technologies, as well as the quality control, performing simulations, analysis, and interpretations of data. Finally, the threats, recently oriented to the pandemic, such as the remote work, the acceleration of digitalization, and the automation of processes, the fluctuation in market requirements, and the breakdown of the supply chain in the manufacturing processes. Then, it is necessary to know the soft and hard skills necessary to compete professionally in the market. In the soft skills linked to digital tools, we find from the highest to lowest relevance the assertive virtual communication that is achieved with the use of new technologies through remote collaboration in video calls, virtual chats, or emails. The accountability and self-learning abilities, concepts units by the discipline and commitment of the engineer, both to learn and to manage, the automation and organization services. The proactivity and resilience play a fundamental role today, requiring people to act, not to react, in adverse situations, with initiative to solve problems or get the work done. The teamwork in times of volatility and uncertainty, such as the contingency, where it is necessary to identify a member of a team and collaborate remotely in an organized manner. And finally, the leadership in times of volatility and uncertainty. It is oriented towards the management of work teams or projects through the organization and allocation of human and material resources to meet the milestones and deadlines under pressure and demand. As far as hard skills are concerned, we have three essential forms of contingency. The knowledge of virtual security that encompasses the proper management of information and action against cyber attacks of thefts of digital information. The e-commerce and marketing cloud management that refers to the analysis of the market data and the understanding of customer needs. It is a tool for controlling and anticipating trends. And the last one, the management of big data. It is essential within the automotive organizations, for example, in the methodological, economic, and logistic fields, among others. These three are added to the inherent knowledge of the automotive systems engineer as fundamental tools for managing uncertainty, safety, and quality with the customer.
We have to ask ourselves, how can we improve something if it's not measured properly? Well, that's what quality indicators are for. First, we need to understand once more, how can virtual collaborative workspaces benefit the design process when used properly? For starters, when using these virtual workspaces, mobile and more flexible work is possible, being able to track a project from concept to launch day, thanks to the devices from which the engineer and its team are able to work. Of course, the range of feedback is increased as well, since the need of physical presence is taken out of the equation, and the availability of data is increased so it's accessible anywhere at any time by any of the team members from any device. If one thing is true, is that the design process needs to evolve, as the rest of the automotive industry and the world evolves. The first step towards this evolution is the transition from a conventional and old-fashioned method of work into the newer and more advanced technologies, such as digital workspaces, a new method of work applied in the automobile manufacturers around the globe, but not fully developed by them. That intrinsic connection between the designer and its pen and paper designs remains in a new digital way when also providing ease of work from anywhere. We have mentioned already the advantages of a properly used workspace, but how can we know if it's being used correctly or not? By measuring the communication quality, we can determine if the process is running smooth or if improvements should be made. For this purpose, we'll be using key performance indicators, or as we call them, KPIs. In order to define our KPIs, we must first set specific goals. Goals that must be time-bound, achievable, and relevant. These goals are going to help and allow the work team to focus on their individual tasks at hand in order to understand their importance in the bigger picture. These are the first steps to help define whether a project will turn out to be a success or a failure, depending if the goals are achieved or not. Key performance indicators have a specific structure which must be followed when defined. Measurements are the first step. These are just numerical values, such as the amount of vehicles manufactured in the last year. When these measurements are merged with a second measurement, such as, for example, percentage of defective production vehicle, it turns into a metric. And when put into a specific context, like the total percentage of defective Model or Series X vehicles manufactured in the first semester of the year at plant, San Luis Potosí, Toluca, Puebla, etc., it turns into a KPI. Most of the time, KPIs in the communication for the design process are not tracked as they're considered subjective, arbitrary, and complex to measure. It is known that KPIs exist in safety requirements for vehicles. This is mainly to keep control of all factors to be considered when designing and improving safety in vehicles, such as a stopping distance, pulling force on seat belts to lock, etc. So why are we tracking these factors but not the base of our product, when improvement on the final quality of the product can be directly affected by KPIs in the communication process when designing it? Some quick KPIs for this can be the average time between proposal and feedback of a concept, time to market from a concept to launch, concepts tracking and patents tracking, etc. It is important to mention that KPIs are never static. They must grow, evolve, and adapt as the goals of a company change, in order to keep measuring what's important for the newest goal. To keep a good training on all personnel is important to ensure that everyone in workplace is efficient with this new communication mean, while increasing competitivity and performance for both individuals and the company itself. Ideally, these trainings must be made from early educational stages of each and every engineer. When looking at the areas of application and improvement, we have decided to focus on the previously described design phases to try and benefit from the newest technologies. First, for the portfolio phase, we know that automotive manufacturers rely on video call services to keep verbal and visual communication flowing. As this is the first phase, it's defined by decision making and feature selection and definition. Because of this, communication and feedback is required at all times, especially when the production plant or complex is located geographically far from the company's headquarters. The first key recommendation is keep it relevant, to keep participants at a minimum by choosing and inviting only those that must necessarily be there. Keep it simple by preparing, sharing, and following an agenda for every meeting so everyone knows their purpose on each meeting and attention isn't misled from main topic. And keep it in order by checking everyone's availability, letting them know why their participation is required, and reducing video call times as well as the amount of them. As we move into sketching, truth is, there are endless possibilities and ways to digital sketch, but not a made process to follow through all ideas and designs. To keep track of all features, In all sketches, for a collaborative selection of the best features for the final design is crucial, and to offer work sessions for real-time collaboration sketching can increase the range of innovations and designs by having a multidisciplinary team working on it. As for artisanal design, many wonder if it's possible to replace it. Well, the answer is yes, since there are existing tools that are not applied properly, and these same tools can be used in the digital design phase to support the validation of shape, as well as giving an insight on what a feature may look like without having it physically, and allowing all necessary team members to find possible future problems, not only in the design area, but also in the manufacturing counterpart. And for the final phase, we suggest a constant data sharing between suppliers, lead plan, and manufacturing plan to keep track of any sudden changes at any time from anyone, focusing mostly on the dimensional report as well as engineering changing of part or requirement changes, since not all designs are profitable when manufactured due to an endless amount of variables. And as we all know, all changes must always be approved by permission of the lead plan, which isn't always in the same location as the manufacturing plant, at least not in the case of Mexico. Another reason to keep all information accessible anywhere at any time from any device.